I bring word, sire. There are demands from the Banorn that you step down from the Regency. They are said to be gathering their forces, as are your allies. It appears it will be civil war after all, despite the Darkspawn. Pity. I also have an interesting report. There seem to be Grey Wardens who survived Ostagar. How, I don't know. But they will act against you. I have arranged for a solution, with your leave.
The Antivan Crows send their regards.
An assassin?
Against Grey Wardens, we will need the very best, sire.
And the most expensive.
Just get it done.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
Sire, I have more news. Yes. Well, it seems that the fighting has gone exactly as you...
I would like to know what you intend to accomplish, Father. Should we not be fighting the Darkspawn instead of each other?
The nobility should be brought into line and then the Darkspawn defeated. This is no true blight, Honora. Only Kaelin's vanity demanded it be so.
Beg pardon, sire. But blight or no, we may not have the manpower to face the Darkspawn soon.
Kaelin approached your legions for support, did he
Never!
not?
Marek and I drove those bastards out! Not roll out the welcome for them now!
We need help, Father. We cannot deal with this crisis alone.
Ferelden will stand on its own! I will lead it through this, Honora. You must have faith in me.
Did you kill Kaelin?
Kaelin's death was his own doing.
Oh, thank the Maker. We need help. They attacked the wagon. Please help us. Follow me. I'll take you to them.
I thought I would wake up dead, or not wake up at all, as the case may be. But I see you haven't killed me yet. Ah, so I'm to be interrogated. Let me save you some time. My name is Zevran. Zev to my friends. I am a member of the Antivan Crows, brought here for the sole purpose of slaying any surviving Grey Wardens, which I have failed at, sadly.
I can tell you that. They are an order of assassins out of Antiva, very powerful and renowned for always getting the job done, so to speak. Someone went to great expense to hire this man.
Quite right. I'm surprised you haven't heard much of the crows out here. Back where I come from, we're rather infamous. A rather taciturn fellow in the capital. Logain, I think his name was. Yes, that's it. I wasn't. If I had succeeded, I would have returned home and the crows would have informed your Logain of the results, if he didn't already know. If I had failed, I would be dead, or I should be, at least as far as the crows are concerned. No need to see Logain then. I have no idea what his issues are with you. The usual, I imagine. You threaten his power, yes? Beyond that, no, I am not loyal to him. I was contracted to perform a service. Oh, well, that's between Logain and the crows, and between the crows and myself. Isn't that what we're establishing now? I wasn't paid anything. The crows, however, were paid quite handsomely, or so I understand. Which does make me about as poor as a Chantry mouse, come to think of it. Being an Antivan crow isn't for the ambitious, to be perfectly honest. Well, aside from a distinct lack of ambition, I suppose it's because I wasn't given much of a choice. The crows bought me young. I was a bargain, too, or so I'm led to believe. But don't let my sad story influence you. The crows aren't so bad. They keep one well supplied. Wine, women, men, whatever you happen to fancy. Though the whole severance package is garbage, let me tell you. If you're considering joining, I'd really think twice about it. Why not? I wasn't paid for silence. Not that I offered it for sale, precisely. Loyalty is an interesting concept. If you wish, and you're done interrogating me, we can discuss it further. Very well. Ask, and thou shalt receive. Then, unless you're quite stuck on cutting my throat or something equally gruesome, perhaps you'd care to hear a proposal. Well, here's the thing. I failed to kill you, so my life is forfeit. That's how it works. If you don't kill me, the crows will. Thing is, I like living. And you obviously are the sort to give the crows pause, so let me serve you instead. To be completely honest, I was never given much of a choice regarding joining the crows. They bought me on the slave market when I was a child. I think I paid my worth back to them plus tenfold. The only way out, however, is to sign up with someone they can't touch. Even if I did kill you now, they might just kill me on principle for failing the first time. Honestly, I'd rather take my chances with you. Possibly. I happen to know their wily ways, however. I can protect myself as well as you. Not that you seem to need much help. And if not, well, it's not as if I had many alternatives to start with, is it? I happen to be a very loyal person. Up until the point where someone expects me to die for failing. That's not a fault, really, is it? I mean, unless you're the sort who would do the same thing, in which case I don't come very well recommended, I suppose. Well, let's see. Being allowed to live would be nice, and would make me marginally more useful to you. And somewhere down the line, if you should decide that you no longer have need of me, then I go on my way. Until then, I am yours. Is that fair? Why? Because I am skilled at many things, from fighting to stealth and picking locks. I could also warn you should the Antivan crows attempt something more sophisticated, now that my attempts have failed. I also know a great many jokes. 12 massage techniques, 6 different card games. I do wonderful at parties, no? I think you're royally tough to kill. I'm only hoping that you're stupid. That was a joke. Let me rephrase that. I'm hoping that you're the sort of fellow that takes a chance every now and again. Yes?
Welcome, Zevran. Having an Antivan crow join us sounds like a fine plan.
Oh, you are another companion to be, then? I wasn't aware such loveliness existed amongst adventurers, surely.
Or maybe not.
I hereby pledge my oath of loyalty to you until such a time as you choose to release me from it. I am your man, without reservation. This I swear. Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well, the crows would have you believe that it is an involved process that takes years of training. The sort survive that process and maybe, just maybe, you're good enough to start being considered one of them. But quite frankly, the truth is that all it requires is the desire to kill people for a living. It's surprising how well one can do in such a field. I don't know about that. It's simply a slightly different skill set from your average killer as I see it. An assassin simply specializes in striking from stealth, and in maximizing that first attack to be as lethal as possible. Debilitate your foe, either by poison or by crippling their limbs, makes any follow-up combat you need to engage in that much simpler. See? Getting paid for the act is beside the point. An assassin is more a tactical choice than a lifestyle. Of course, the crows like to pretend that their abilities are trade secrets. So let's just keep this between you and me, shall we? Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well now, I imagine that's a very... I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it? Now that you mention it, I am not entirely certain. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased. For 3 sovereigns, I'm told. Which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder. And if you do poorly in your training, you die. Of course, you compete against your fellow assassins, and those who survive are rightfully proud of it. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth, gets you women, and men, or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining. I fancy many things. I fancy things that are beautiful and things that are strong. I fancy things that are dangerous and exciting. Would you be offended if I said I fancied you? This is good to know. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go. And be slaughtered? Perish the thought. Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so. All right, but I get to stare. And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authority... As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree? Now there's an interesting word, innocent. But if you're talking generalities, such as children and relatives and bystanders and such, never on purpose. It's unfortunate, but death comes to us all. If not me, then some wasting disease, or a fall down the stairs, or a death happens, as we like to say. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed, the pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands. There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules, oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else? None that I wouldn't get into trouble for performing publicly. Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them. All right, but I get to stare at you luridly while you do so. My adventures? I'm hardly an old man just returned from across the ocean, am I? Should I shake my fist at nearby children while I talk about the good old days? Oh, well, if a racist crack like that doesn't cajole me into telling a tale, then nothing will. Let's see, my second mission ever for the Crows was a bit intriguing. I was sent to kill a mage who had been meddling in politics. Well, it was just the one mage. Not as simple a mission as the vagrant Grey Warden or two, perhaps. As it turned out, the mage in question was quite a delightful young woman. Long, divine legs, as I recall. I caught her in a carriage on her way to escape to the provinces. After I killed her guard, she got down on her hands and knees and begged for her life. Rather aptly, I might add. So I joined her in the carriage for the night and left the next morning. Yes, but not on purpose, actually. The woman had actually convinced me to speak to the Crows on her behalf. What can I say? I was young and foolish at the time. Then, as I was kissing her goodbye to return to Antiva City, she slipped on the threshold and fell backwards out of the carriage. Broke her neck. Shame, really, but at least it happened quickly. At first, yes. Well, not upset. Surprised is really a better word. Then I found out that she had told the driver to take her to Janellen instead. She had planned to lose me in the provinces. I would have looked very foolish to the Crows. As it was, my master was very impressed that I had done such a fine job of making it look like an accident. The circle of Magi was unaware of foul play, and everyone was happier all around. Like being spared by a benevolent Mark who then helps me escape from the Crows? Yes, it does seem to happen now and again, doesn't it? It was after that when I learned that one needn't let a pretty face go to your head. Professionalism was key. That's my moral of the day, you see. And one that not everyone learns, I'm sad to say. But that's enough tale spinning from me for the moment. Talking about the mage has made me a bit... All right, but I get to stare at you again. Well now, what might interest you, I wonder? Shall I describe the stages involved with Lanthrax poisoning? No, let's see. How about the largest battle I ever took part in? That would have been the slaughter of Prince Azrin. Prince Azrin was fourth in line to the throne, you see. He started off as 11th, but worked his way up. After assassinating his way through the royal family, the king hired 3 other cells to take down Prince Azrin once and for all. I was in one of those cells. Antivan royalty is very much bound up in the Crows. You wouldn't want it run by a bunch of commoners, after all, would you? And this particular fight nearly bankrupted the nation, I understand. It almost ended up putting a crow on the throne, a commoner. But that's a whole different story. I played a very small. My part in the entire battle was taken up trying to reach Princess Verina, who had thrown in with her brother. I killed about 11 of her guys. I landed in a river and nearly drowned. I was fished out by some urchins who robbed me blind. Made off with my boots, too. At least they didn't cut my throat. And that was my part in history. It's true. I live a charmed life. One of the prostitutes that raised me was a fortune teller. Said I wouldn't die young. She was rather startled by that. But there you go. Tale told. Let's be off before I tell more embarrassing stories, huh? All right, but I get to stare at you. Well, the only one that's really worth... But no, I would rather not. I shouldn't have said anything. Thank you. Perhaps another day, huh? All right, but I get to stare at... Oh, you wish to know about Antiva, do you? The only way to truly appreciate it would be to go there. It is a warm place, not cold and harsh like is Ferelden. In Antiva it rains often, but the flowers are always in bloom. Or so they say. It's not really a matter of what. I hail from the glorious Antiva city, home to the royal palace. It is a glittering gem amidst the sand, my Antiva city. Do you come from someplace comparable? Oh, I have never seen that place. You know what is most odd? We speak of my homeland, and for all its wine and its dark-haired beauties and the lilo flutes of the minstrels, I miss the leather the most. I mean the smell. For years, I lived in a tiny apartment near Antiva City's leather-making district, in a building where I grew accustomed to the stench, even though the humans complained of it constantly. To this day, the smell of fresh leather is what reminds me most of home more than anything else. Oh, not so long, I know. It is my first time away from Antiva, however, and the thought of never returning makes me think of it constantly. Before I left, I was tempted to spend what little coin I possessed on leather boots I spotted in a store window. Finest Antivan leather, perfect craftsmanship. But I was a fool to leave them. I thought, Zevran, you can buy them when you return as a reward for a job well done. More the fool I, no? True, and it's a comforting thought. One simply never knows what is to come next. How could I have suspected I would end up defeated by a handsome Grey Warden? A man who then spares my life? I could not. Quite right you are. I see the Grey Wardens do not recruit fools. Now, if it is all the same to you, I would prefer not to speak more of Antiva. All right, but I get to stare at you look. I know little enough of the Dalish other than the fact that my mother was one, or so I was told. She had fallen in love with an elven woodcutter and accompanied him back to the city, leaving her clan behind for good. And there, of course, the woodcutter died of some filthy disease and my mother was forced into prostitution to pay off his debts. Oldest tale in the book. How should I know? My mother was a whore, as you'll recall. None of the other elven boys in the whorehouse knew their fathers. I was not so unusual. I didn't know my mother either, of course. She died giving birth to me. My first victim, as it were. We were all raised communally by the whores. It was a happy enough existence, ignoring the occasional beating. Until eventually I was sold to the crows. I brought a good price, so I hear. It could have been much worse. Shall I tell you about what happened to the other whorehouse boys who did not fetch a decent price with the crows? Surely your life has not been so idyllic. People like you and I are not the product of happy lives of contentment, after all. My original point is that my mother's Dalish nature was always a point of fascination for me. Through all the years of my crow training, the one thing of my mother's that I possessed was a pair of gloves. They were of Dalish make, I knew that much, and beautiful. I had to keep them hidden, of course, as we were not allowed such things. Eventually, they were discovered, and I never saw them again. I don't feel anything about them. Oh, we heard about them in the city, even deep in Antiva. Naturally, the reality did not live up at all to the fantasies I had constructed as a boy, staring at those gloves. But such is life. Come, enough talk of the Dalish. Let us move on. All right, but I get to stare. Oh, this should be good. What would you like to discuss? Oh, I certainly could, but I won't. I swore to the crows that the things they taught me were to remain a secret. And while, yes, they are already angry at me, I'd rather not push things, you see. If you are truly insistent, well, let me think about it. The crows are already angry at me, yes? Who knows? I've a question, if I may. Well, here's the thing. I swore an oath to serve you, yes? And I understand the quest you're on, and this is all very fine and well. My question pertains to what you intend to do with me once this business is over with, as a point of curiosity. Oh, I imply nothing specific, of course. One simply assumes that once your Grey Warden business is finished, you would have no need of an assassin to follow you about. Am I wrong? Oh, not more than friends? Indeed we shall. It is good to know what my options might be, but that is for another time. For now, we have much to do, yes? I suppose the crows are already furious, yes? What harm is another tweak to their nose? If you wish to be trained in the basics of an assassin, I can certainly show you. Or anyone else who is also a rogue. It shall be fun. I will make it fun, I promise. That smell. This is Antivan leather, isn't it? I would know that anywhere. I don't know how you found it, but thank you. But I'm not finished admiring them yet. Can you smell that? Like rotting flesh. Just like back in Antiva City. Now, if only you could find me a prostitute or two, a bowl of fish chowder, and a corrupt politician, I'd really feel like I was home. And they fit as well. Marvelous. Look at you, your weary stance, the dark circles under your eyes. Poor man, all this constant walking has gotten to you. Do you know what you need? I'm thinking more drastic measures are called for, in fact. My thought is this. We retire to your tent and I show you the sort of massage skills that one only learns growing up in an Antivan whorehouse. If you mean to ask whether or not there might be more than a massage involved, allow me simply to say that you won't be disappointed with any of the techniques I've picked up over the years. Why? Because you're a man? Surely we are past such superficial definitions. We travel together, do battle together. Is there any reason we may not also take pleasure in each other's company? Ah, my mistake. Say no more then. I take it all back.
It's a trap! And so here is the mighty Grey Warden at long last. The crows send their greetings once again.
So they sent you, Taliesin. Or did you volunteer for the job?
I volunteered, of course. When I heard that the great Zevran had gone rogue, I simply had to see it for myself.
Is that so? Well, here I am, in the flesh.
You can return with me, Zevran. I know why you did this, and I don't blame you. It's not too late. Come back and we'll make up a story. Anyone can make a mistake. Oh? Does Zevran need to live?
I suspect I will manage just fine, Taliesin. I'm sorry, my old friend, but the answer is no. I'm not coming back. And you should have stayed in Antiva.
Enemies approaching!
Right ahead.
Have at you!
I've been itching! Fight!
Taliesin is dead, and I am free of the crows. They will assume that I am dead along with Taliesin. So long as I do not make my presence known to them, they will not seek me out. A very good thing. It is in fact what I had hoped for ever since you decided not to kill me. I have enjoyed our company, but I am wondering if it is not time for me to leave. That would be the practical thing to do, no? There is a freedom awaiting me that I have never known. But I suppose the decision is yours. Will you let me go? All right. You make a convincing argument. You do seem to stumble onto treasure on a regular basis somehow. Let us return to the task at hand, then. There is still much to be done, yes?
They remind me of...
I heard there was quite a scuffle in the alleyways. Well done, Warden. You'd be wrong. Our contract had two important jobs. One was to kill the boy's kidnapper, Captain Chase. The other was his rescue. You took care of Chase. And some friends have already returned the boy safely to his father. That I can't say. But in time, I think you'll find out. Crows are hired for their discretion, as well as for their performance. I've nothing more for you. Your payment is in the chest. I hope you find it most satisfying. My superiors want me to convey their thanks. The Crows aren't accepting any new contracts on you. And when this blight ends, we'd love you to visit Antiva to discuss other opportunities. I did what I had to do, but there's no more need for World Games. The Civil War brought many old grudges to a boil. You'll be pleased to know that those contracts helped your own cause. After all, it is not in the Crow's best interest that the Archdemon wins. For a time, we thought that Loghain was the only man for the job. But that's before we got to know you. It was too late then, of course. Taliesin had already accepted a contract. Even now, until you kill all of Taliesin's men, you will have to fight my brothers. We never cancel a contract once accepted. And I was expecting the same. But our order has survived the centuries because we always uphold our deals. Like I said, sending Zevran after you was nothing personal. We've determined you are a far better ally than an enemy. Just visit us in Antiva when all is said and done. Just remember our offer. We could really use someone with your talents. It's time for me to take a vacation. Caesar has a special stock of wares that might interest you. It was a pleasure working with you, Warden. Luck be to you.
I can have my father send you south to fight Darkspawn, you know.
You're back. You need something? Oh, yes, yes. Look over here.
I did not thank you. It occurs to me now that you have freed me from the crows, and yet I did not think to thank you for it. No matter why you did it, it was done, and I the benefactor. So, thank you. You say that so quickly, and yet it is an odd thing for me to hear. In the Crows, we do not have friends. And yet here you are, and I cannot help but consider you such. Then allow me to say this. What we are doing here, stopping the Blight, I cannot think of anything I have ever done which is so worthy. I intend to see this through to the end with you. After all, someone must take responsibility for preventing your untimely death. A suitable task for a friend, yes? Oh, I'm not going to die. It's always the Grey Wardens that die. Did you not read the stories as a child? The hero always dies. Unless the hero has a trusty sidekick with him, then the sidekick dies instead. I knew there was a catch. This friendship business is for the birds, I see. Your wish? Again? I'm game. Your wish? Whatever you'd like to ask. Yes, I suppose it is time. You have been a good friend to me after all. There is no reason to be silent. There is a reason I accepted this mission in Ferelden, far away from home, and it had nothing to do with any thought that I might leave the Crows. Meeting you, after all, was quite an accident. My last mission before this one did not end well. You must realize that until that day I was cocky and arrogant. I was the best crow in Antiva, I believed, and I bragged of my conquests often, both as an assassin and lover. Indeed, I was often told I was insufferable, right before I ended up in bed with someone. Such is how it was. One of the crow masters grew tired of my boasting. My bid for an incredibly difficult mark was accepted, much to my surprise. A wealthy merchant with many guards, and Taliesin agreed to be part of my team, as well as an elven lass named Rina. She was a marvel, tough, smooth, wicked, eyes that gleamed like justice. Everything I thought. Rina was special. I had closed off my heart, I thought, but she touched something within me. It frightened me. When Taliesin revealed to me that Rina had accepted a bribe from the merchant, told him of our plan, I readily agreed that she needed to pay the price and allowed Taliesin to kill her. Rina begged me not to. On her knees, with tears in her eyes, she told me that she loved me and had not betrayed us. I laughed in her face and said that even if it were true, I didn't care. I convinced myself it was. Taliesin cut her throat, and I watched her bleed as she stared up at me. I spat on her for betraying the Crows. When Taliesin and I finally assassinated the merchant, we found the true source of his information. Rina had not betrayed us, after all. I wanted to tell the Crows what we had done, our mistake. Taliesin convinced me not to. He said it would be a foolish waste. So we reported that Rina had died in the attempt. We needn't have bothered. The Crows knew what we had done. The master who disliked me told me so to my face. He said the Crows knew, and they didn't care. And one day, my turn would come. To rub it in my face, perhaps. That I was nothing. That she was nothing. You once asked why I wanted to leave the Crows. In truth, what I wanted was to die. What better way than to throw myself at one of the fabled Grey Wardens? And then, this happened. And here I am. No. What I want is to begin again. Whatever it is I sought by leaving Antiva, I think I have found it. I owe you a great deal. Let us return to your mission, shall we? Suddenly, I do not feel like standing about. Your wish? Whatever you'd like. Your wish? Again?